do it. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's news from the pew where the internet has done things and Steven and I will react to them. I am my intros are getting better every week. I am your host, Rick Barrett.
You practice them at night?
What?
You practice them at night.
That's right. That's right. Is that one of those? Don't tell me that's one of those Coca-Cola Oreo drinks.
Jocko Go, okay. This cherry flavor.
I'm only saying because I have had the Coke Zero Oklahoma Coke. It's awful. The Oreo one. It's awful.
If I have a Coke,
it is capitalism. It is capitalism, like the crescendo of capitalism is that.
If I have the Coke, a Coke, it's the Mexican Coke.
Yes. Don't worry. Once RFK makes them all have to do it, they'll be everywhere. So that's
the thing we're talking about.
I am 100%. I'm actually okay with all that. Give me the beef tallow. I don't care what the Hindus think. Give me the beef tallow all day. But as you can tell, I'm sorry we weren't here last week. I had to go to Houston for family matters, and just one thing led to another, so I couldn't get this. And so thank you guys for being patient with us, and we are going to be able to get our show in today before I head to the Eternal City for the next week. Yes, that's right. I will be in Rome for the next week. So thumbs up to that. Prayers for safe travels if you can, please.
I'm telling you, bring your book and hand it to the Holy Father. What you got?
Dude, I think I might. If I could get one of those. The first one's gonna be me handing him the book, and then the second one is me slapping me in the face. I think I'll sell 1 million copies if that happens.
Take a slap.
Hey, I would. All things considered, I would absolutely take a slap from the Holy Father. 100%.
How many people in history world can say, you know what, I got slapped by?
It would be a holy slap. You know what I mean? It's got to be like 5 years off of purgatory.
That happen all the time. You'd be like 1 in a zillion.
Right? That would be fantastic. Thank you, Thank you, Brian. And so, yeah, we're gonna be talking. We got a lot of stuff to catch up on. And so I think we'll jump right into cabinet picks, right? We're going to go right into the cabinet picks. Trump won, as Steve and I had been telling you for months. And Steve and I also told you the day after the show after the election not to get too excited about it, even though other shows decided to copy that format later on. But that's okay. We don't mind being the trendsetters for that.
Go for it. As long as more people start talking about it, who cares?
That's right. That's really the more important thing, is that people talk about this. Let me just say this: the fact that people are shocked that Trump is putting Zionists in his cabinet, it's like, where have you been for 10 years? But like, I can't believe that he's putting the Zionists in the cabinet.
I woke up.
You thought he was saying King Louis IX, and he was going to usher in an era of Christian rule. I mean, come on, man, don't be stupid. But
I woke up going, I can't believe it. Am I seeing this right? It's like 2016 all over again.
It is. People just do not learn.
It's like his first time out. Oh no, the man doesn't change.
No, what a shock. But I will say he has changed, because his cabinet picks have been interesting. The last couple have been just downright. I think he's just messing with people at this point. The last one being Dr. Oz. We're not going to talk about much about him, but he picked Dr. Oz to lead Health and Human Services. I'm going, what's the matter? Dr. Drew wasn't available for.
That's worse. I'd rather have Drew. I mean, let's get to the guys who are really jacked about it.
Yeah.
Going back to Mike Wagenheim. Mike, just in the past hour, the Trump team confirming the pick of Mike Waltz as the national security advisor. And I don't want to exaggerate and say that Israel, the government here, and its supporters are breathing a sigh of relief over these picks. But certainly, I think some of the concerns they had about the next administration have been eased by picking certainly these three, and especially Marco Rubio, Mike Waltz, people who have, for example, spoken with I-24 News just in recent months about their strong support of Israel and their concerns over Iran.
Not just breathing a sigh of relief, Colin. They're dancing the horror right now at the Prime Minister's office with these selections by Donald Trump. I mean, we were expecting some isolationists possibly in those positions, or maybe some who lean at least a little bit toward Trump's new foreign policy and the MAGA foreign policy. hasn't been that case at all. I mean, Rubio and Mike Waltz are in the mold of old school Republicans on policy, both pro-Israel stalwarts to the hilt. They'll challenge anybody who views the situation otherwise. I mean, you couldn't have selected two better picks, I think, if you're sitting in the prime minister's office right now. And Elise Stefanik will be a firebrand at the United Nations. She already told Isaac Herzog in a meeting this morning that she'll have Israel's back there. And we didn't expect otherwise, but always good to hear that if you're within the Israeli government in a very problematic institution like the UN. By the way, Marco Rubio told us last Tuesday at Donald Trump's watch party on election night that he would, with the Republicans taking over the Senate, not knowing then that he would be nominated likely for Secretary of State, he said that the Republican Senate should take up defunding more UN agencies that he feels are either in cahoots with Hamas or turn a blind eye to those terror organizations that operate in Gaza and elsewhere.
Don't worry, it gets worse. Here's the former
well,
Fox
wait,
News guy.
there's more.
If you open up your Bible, God granted Abraham this land. The 12 tribes of Israel established the constitutional monarchy 1000 BC. King David was their second king and established Jerusalem as the capital. Jews were fighting foreign occupiers for centuries, ultimately maintaining a presence there. But the key aspect, and right now, Palestinians, Arabs, Muslims are trying to erase the Jewish ties to Jerusalem as we speak. I've been there multiple times. They're trying to make it look like Jews were never there. The most important aspect of this is the international community granted sovereignty to the Jews, to the Jewish state after World War II, and Israel has had to fight defensive war after defensive war, with every country coming to crush it ever since then, just to exist.
Wants to take the stage and talk about dual loyalty is dead wrong. What this organization represents, what Western civilization represents today, is an understanding that Zionism and Americanism are the front lines of Western civilization and freedom in our world today.
So for 44 years, I've been coming
Here's your new ambassador to Israel.
and I've seen God take this country and do amazing things here. And really the only explanation for Israel, I tell people when I bring them here and they've never been before, I tell them, I said, if this is your first time, you have no context. But let me say to you, this is a fulfillment of prophecy.
Yes.
Ezekiel 37, the dry bones live again. And the desert is blooming right before our eyes. The desert is blooming here. And the only explanation for the extraordinary explosion economically and even agriculturally of this land is that God has his hand on it.
What happens next? It's about the end times. And quite frankly, some of us think we may just be living in them. So, Max Lucado, so good to see you. Thanks for joining us, and welcome as we talk about the end of the world.
America.
Well, Governor, I wouldn't be anywhere else. I'm supremely honored.
It gets worse. Your ears will start bleeding. You keep watching. Here's a guy that, let's down the Israel topic, I guess. If you want more, check out Last Mega Vagabond. He went into conservatives begin to acknowledge Trump's cabinet picks. He goes in for about 3 or 4 hours on this. Obviously, he has the great photo of Brandon and Trump going, "Hey, just like after a WWF match."
Just like we drew it up.
Yep, just like after WWF, you mean Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant are friends? Yeah, they're friends. Let's see.
They hugged each other after the match. Yep.
Speaking of WWF, Linda McMahon for WWE.
Yes, there's that great vote. Where's that right now? I'm sure you can find it. The current mayor of Knoxville, Tennessee, power bombing or pile driving the new Secretary of Education.
Kane.
Every time I see that, I always respond with the Ron Swanson. God, I love this country so much.
Yeah. But I mean, in a point of this is how many quote unquote conservatives were upset about KJP. She don't have enough. She has not qualifications for this position, things like that. But hey, just like everything that's going to go down, it's our guys, the right guy doing it.
Do it.
we're cool with this. We're not going to say that Linda doesn't have any experience. She doesn't, but
She's
pro-Trump,
man. She's pro-Trump. What do you want?
That's it. I mean,
besides,
really, how much brown nosing did you get?
You got to have this kind of experience to lead the secretary, to be the Secretary of Education. This is how this.
Oh, by the way, Vivek is a big Zionist too. And by the way, here's
they all are, man.
The entire group has to have devotion to. Who's the only one? Is it Getz? He's the only one that hasn't said it, but he hasn't taken money from it.
I mean,
but
his big thing is supposedly he hasn't taken a dime from AIPAC.
Yeah,
that's what people, So I mean, kudos for him for that. But
he's still on board.
But he's not. Yeah, he's not running around being like, "This is a bad idea, guys." No, he's. He gets to say that he didn't take any money from them, but in the end, he's not going to be Mr. Trump. He's going to be like, thumbs up for me.
Here's Vivek and they invested billions of dollars with Vivek. JD Vance has with self-amplifying mRNA factories. That could be an issue, especially with Elon, especially with Teal, who's all about stuff like that. Here's Dr. Oz.
The Department of Government Efficiency. Let's
create another department.
Let's create another department, Steve, so we can get rid of the other departments.
Yeah. They're putting a podcast together. You hear that one?
It's the most American thing ever. I love it.
Yeah. Here's Dr. Oz, the lockdown, mask, and vaccine pimp. Very troubling. Here's him talking about implanting microchips for humans. I would have downloaded it, but we're not trying to make it a 5-hour show. He's talking about implants. Who else is for implants? It's on the Dodge guy, Elon.
Yeah. Douche.
What a Dodge douche. Here's Dr. Oz talking with the transgender children. Oz gave a platform to transgender children.
I mean, he's from the Oprah tree, right? He's from the Oprah tree, so it's not a surprise that he supports all this stuff.
No, but how many you going to see any of the DJ Trump cultist guys saying anything like this?
They're celebrating all this. They think this is fantastic. This is because it's Trump's guys. It's all Trump's guys. One. So if Trump does it, it can't be wrong. Just can't be wrong at all.
I thought I had another one, but Brandon gave her a medal. Hey, by the way, Trump gave Fauci a medal too. But
yep.
Here's the Doge podcast launch.
Part of that process, I'm now all in. I'm focused on making sure that we actually accomplish the goal rather than just talking about it. So to that end, for the next little bit, I'm going to put a pause on the Weekly Truth podcasts. I've enjoyed doing it this year. It's been incredibly fun and entertaining. I've learned from a lot of the guests, and I've enjoyed communicating with all of you. We're going to put that on pause for a little bit. And as you may have heard, Elon and I are going to start a separate track of Dogecasts that explain exactly what we're doing to the public to provide transparency in what is a once-in-a-generation project.
Personally, I think we're just going to give you the illusion we're doing something. We're going to talk about it. Ask you what your opinions are. And nothing's good. Now, I hope I'm wrong. I hope
They'll do a light scalpeling.
Yeah, it'll be cut off the top like a fruit cut type deal, maybe.
But the overall swamp will be swampy. It will not be drained.
Did you see the FBI guy that they're thinking about putting in?
Oh, Kash Patel? Yeah.
No,
George Bush and his administration for assembling this new intelligence community. They passed the Patriot bill that allows and takes the handcuffs off our intelligence services. Policymakers back here use words like illegal wiretap, the domestic surveillance program of the NSA. It could be abused. We're already seeing pressure on the Patriot Act that maybe we don't need it now. Couldn't be further from the truth. The bulk telephone metadata program is legal and effective. Provisions of the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act expire at the end of this month. We need to rapidly reauthorize these provisions, and we need to work toward making these tools permanent as a part of our arsenal. Self-restriction, big problem in U.S. intelligence collection. We're the only intelligence service in the world that is forced to go to a court. But we always joked in the intelligence space, we would love to get 1/10 of what Google has on you. I supported these programs when they were classified, and I support these programs today.
That's why they were mad. That's why they were mad when Elon bought X, because that was their gold mine of information.
Now, the one you brought up before, he's also in the running. So there's two guys running for it. That dude who pretty much wants. I think there's another video of him saying that.
Which one, Cash or that guy?
You don't have to do it. We can invade privacy as long as the other person doesn't know their privacy is being invaded or something like that. Yeah.
That makes about it. That's
people in the media.
correct.
Here's a
government.
We're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice. And Steve, this is why they hate us. This is why we're tyrannical. This is why we're dictators. Because we're actually going to use the Constitution to prosecute them for crimes they said we have always been guilty of, but never have.
Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago.
Oh, kiss the ring. They went to Mar-a-Lago because they're afraid Gates is going to punish them when he becomes attorney general. That's the same district. If you know, the Gates is from the same district that Scarborough is from. And everybody knows about Scarborough's dead intern. By the way, quick shout out. I don't know. He's probably not watching the show. John Franklin. I've met this man. He's running for Gates's spot. Couldn't find a better guy. Couldn't find a better guy. If you don't know him, find him on socials. I follow him on X or on Instagram. John Franklin. He is like, when Steve talks about get your guys into these positions, John Franklin is the guy you're talking about. Ex-Green Beret, devout Catholic. And he is a good man and the kind of men that you need in there. So that's my 30-second spot for John Franklin. Anyway. Well, he's probably going to be my saint of the week too, just real quick. just real quick on that one.
First they know him. There's another one, the Zionist. I mean, they, like said, Rubio.
Well, Steve, it's good. It's good. She's going to hunt down the terrorists like dogs. It's all good.
You brought up Nikki Haley and what's his face, Pompeo. So he didn't go after those names, but he just got guys that had the same ideas. Just different names. There's like what's her face?
Different names, and the big thing with all of these picks is they're all Trump guys.
Yep,
they will all be loyal to Trump, and I get it. You know,
which is fine. That's what the other team would do.
You got to bring in your people. I get it. I absolutely get it. But don't paint this as this is going to be like some great American revival.
Well, it's the thing. How many? What's going to happen? Well, here before we get into picks and talk about that, here's some more. I would say precedent that's coming that we shouldn't be cheerleading in a sense.
Decades before my election, drug overdose deaths increased every single year.
Again, you're going to have to divorce emotion from this.
Yep. Under my leadership, we took the drug and fentanyl crisis head on, and we achieved the first reduction in overdose deaths in more than 30 years. I also proudly signed the Support Act, the largest investment ever in combating the opioid epidemic. Sadly, under Joe Biden, our hard-won progress has been surrendered along with the surrender of our southern border. It's such a shame. Now fentanyl and other ultra-deadly poisons are pouring into our country unchecked, stealing more than 100,000 American lives every single year, and many people think that real number is 300,000 to 400,000. Joe Biden's record is one of death, destruction, and misery in communities all across our nation. When I'm back in the White House, I will take action on day one to end this horrific plague and save American lives. Joe Biden will never solve the drug overdose crisis because he is actively destroying our border. What he has done to our border, we had the safest border in the history of our country, and now we have the worst border probably anywhere in the world, including third world countries. That's why I have previously announced I will impose a full naval embargo on the drug cartels and deploy military assets to inflict maximum damage on cartel operations. I will insist on the full cooperation of neighboring governments to dismantle the trafficking and smuggling networks in our region, and I will ask Congress to ensure that drug dealers, kingpins, and human traffickers receive the death penalty. At the same time, I will direct federal law enforcement here in the United States to take down the gangs and organized street crime that distribute these deadly narcotics on a local level. They are killing our people. They are poisoning our beautiful children. I will permanently
Not as bad as the FDA, but I get it.
Designate fentanyl as a federally controlled substance. And I will tell China that if they do not clamp down on the export of fentanyl's chemical precursors, they will pay a steep price. I had a deal worked out with President Xi. They weren't going to be sending any more, and they were going to impose the death penalty on those that made it in China. But with a rigged election, that ended. Attacking the supply of these deadly drugs will be just the beginning. We must also do more to end the scourge of addiction here at home.
Scourge? What's
Among the most important steps we can take is to strengthen the pillars that give life, meaning, and hope for those struggling with addiction, particularly steer our country out of this crisis. Finally, we will ensure that if a parent, child, spouse, or other relative needs to take time, is going to hell. Thank you. On fighting to overcome addiction, they are more easily able to take advantage of the family leave program, so important. When I'm president, we will not rest until we have ended the drug addiction crisis in America. We will win. It will happen. We have to win, though, in 2024.
So the thing that is like, all right, you got to divorce emotion from it. That whole idea, he's talking about bringing military into the states. That's actually happened before in the history of the states before. It didn't go out bad. It didn't go out good. And removing people, and there's numbers that they're talking about take years to do. First off, if it takes more than 4 years, do you think the next administration is going to keep that going? I mean, come on. Nope. Anybody with 2 working brain cells knows that's not going to keep going. So how did someone ask me, so what do you do? What are you for this? No, I'm not for illegal immigration. I'm not for the evil stuff that's going on it. But the precedent that is being presented, and on top of that, if you remember from 2019, this speech, because he brings up land and the sea in his talk about using military to stop everything like this. That was actually the biometric prison.
We will finally complete the biometric entry-exit visa tracking system, which we need desperately. We will ensure that this system is in place. And I will tell you, it will be on land, it will be on sea, it will be in air. We will have a proper tracking system.
What happens next year, 2025? The real ID kicks in. If you don't have the real ID, if Rick doesn't have the real ID now, he can fly to Rome and come back. He doesn't have the real ID in January. He can't leave and come back. So
it might be a good thing. It might be a good thing. Maybe I'll just have to stay there.
I mean, there's a lot. This is what if Clinton, Brandon, anybody else was saying stuff like this, the same people doing, yeah, we're back, baby, would be going, I hate that guy. He can't do that. The same
tyranny. That's what they would be saying. Socialists.
Again, the precedent thing. If they end up doing that to those. You saying they can't do that to round up? I don't know. Say a Christian or something like that. You see what's going on in UK with the social media here.
A week ago, my lawyer back home called me up and said 2 of your tweets are technically illegal. You could be arrested when you return. That's not a joke. They've been clearing out the prisons to put in people now for literally Facebook memes. There's someone in prison right now. They cleared out the prisons, by the way, and actual offenders, criminal, violent offenders. One person reoffended the day he left. There's one guy in prison for a Facebook meme for 3 months. There's one woman who's doing 2.5 years for a tweet, right? The free speech is an utter...
Hey, there's a lot. I mean, Elon, technocrat. Peter Thiel. I mean,
who owns JD Vance, folks?
Here, I'll just go and play the video, Peter. So we can talk over.
Peter Thiel co-founded PayPal back in 19.
The man is in charge of all this stuff. He's in the White House.
Yeah.
It's in the military.
He spoke at the 2016 convention, at the Republican convention. So, he's in there.
Yeah, and no Trumpian is talking about Peter. They haven't been talking about him for months.
Yeah, well, they really, I mean,
Mass
folks, and I
surveillance. What
get
do you
it.
think that digital thing was? We're going to have digital ID in the next 4 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's just the way it is, and it's going to happen under Trump, and people are going to embrace it. Which went back to my theory, guys, of why the deep state. Everybody thinks it's a win against the deep state. That's why the deep state wanted Trump in. They'll give him his economic stuff. They'll let him do his economic stuff, and in exchange, he'll put in the digital ID. He'll put in all the stuff that they want, but he'll get his great economy, and people will shut up because the economy will be good. It will be better than it has been under Biden. And so people will be happy, and they'll be happy. The joke from Legally Blonde, if any of you people have seen it, happy people don't kill their husbands. Happy people don't revolt against biometric entry or 15-minute cities. As long as there's money in their pockets and food on their table, people are going to be fine with all of this. And that's just how it is. And folks, remember, the reason why Elon changed the name of the platform from Twitter to X is because he wants the X platform to mimic what they do in China. China has an all-encompassing app that you pay and do all these things through. You communicate and all blah, blah, blah. Elon wants to do the exact same thing here, and that's why he put the patent on X. And that's the whole point. And people want to and yeah, I'm a Cybertruck fan. I love ugly cars. I can't help it, right? We all love what we love. But the point is your car is going to be linked to X, which is going to be linked to Starlink. And I like Starlink too. Don't get me wrong. I think Starlink's actually a really smart idea. But they're all going to be linked together. And I think I talked about it 2 weeks ago. The amount of money and things that are being relocated into Texas from California. The Boring Company is here now. I think he's relocated the Neuralink. A lot of the Neuralink stuff is here in Texas now, all by Brownsville, I think it is, or something like that. It's all southeast of Austin, and he's pretty much buying he's buying up the entire area and building out his own thing. He's gonna have more influence in Texas than you're gonna want. And yeah, Elon, he backed Trump, but he backed Trump because did you see Tesla's stock go through the roof after Trump won? He made like another $100 billion because everybody's like, oh, okay, well, Trump's going to keep Elon safe. He's going to get his back because Elon pretty much bought his election.
Throw in, they're going after Bitcoin right now.
Yeah.
Elon wants his version of CBDC. Elon's in the cabinet right now, isn't he? Trump calls him like the up-and-comer guy.
Yeah.
And you just had Michigan say no to CBDC, House Bill 6147. Hey, look at Michigan.
Look at communist Michigan.
There's a lot of federalism all of a sudden just popping up everywhere anymore. It's a good thing to see. Speaking of federalism, in a sense, off-topic, different part of the world. Where did I see that? Hungary.
New court is reviewing legislation by member state Hungary that criminalizes showing depictions of homosexuality to children. Back when the law was introduced 3 years ago, the bloc's leader, Ursula von der Leyen, condemned the measure as a violation of European values.
The Hungarian bill is a shame.
All right, I'm starting this over because I want anybody watching this to think, take out European and insert American. So when it says European values, think American. Think of Hungary as Virginia or North Carolina, whatever, pick your state. And the EU as USA.
Viewing legislation by member state Hungary that criminalizes showing depictions of homosexuality to children. Back when the law was introduced 3 years ago, the bloc's leader, Ursula von der Leyen, condemned the measure as a violation of European values.
So that would be like the president going after the governor of your state saying that's not up to American values because the EU is exactly like the USA in the sense it's a republic. It's a federal republic in a sense. And then the states are republics itself. They have centralized Europe into the EU.
Yeah, like that's what the whole EU was for. Yeah. The whole EU destroyed all that. Of course, they did that with, when they unified Italy, they destroyed the Papal States. When they did that to France, right? After the French Revolution, Spain, Germany, all of these places. You
And
know,
then
World
they
War
really
One
did it
and World
even
War
more.
II crystallized all that
Oh,
essentially.
yeah.
The Hungarian bill is a shame. It goes.
Who's heard us say that the Hungarian bill that the Hungarians put together is shameful? Ursula can go pound sand.
Yeah.
Is what the Hungarian
Are
response.
you a Hungarian? Because
Exactly.
if you're not, then it doesn't really matter what.
And then that's what gets me crazy, gets me uppity when I see all these Catholic guys going, "Hey, we need to be like Hungary." Yes, we do. And we also got to grow up there and know that wherever you live is like Hungary.
Goes against all the values, the fundamental values of the European Union. And this is human dignity, it is equality, and is the human fundamental rights. So we will not compromise on these principles.
Who cares? What are you talking about?
The Hungary law has a zero-tolerance policy for pedophilia. It restricts depictions of homosexuality and gender reassignment surgery to minors. And numerous EU member states have spoken out about.
So you get it.
I mean,
that's
because
not-
we all know that minor attracted person, MAPs, is the end agenda for all of this.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's why you saw like, oh, well, you can't say anything bad about that certain group of people. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Yes, you should. And that's people have not liked, and we'll talk about this when we get to Mace in a minute. People don't understand when conservatives and Christian conservatives for 25, 30 years have been talking about the slippery slope argument. The slippery slope has always been pedophilia. The end of it has always been pedophilia and getting to it. No matter what you compromise on, and you say, and I can't stand Christians, and they're usually evangelical Protestants, my evangelical Protestant brothers and sisters, I love y'all. But the idea is when you say, I don't care what people do in their bedroom as long as they're consenting adults. No, sorry. If it's against God and it's against nature, you should have a say in it. You should say that's wrong for society because that distorted, perverted behavior will spill out of the bedroom and affect everything else.
And that's what the old school localism was. The kings would be able to do local stuff, and they would answer to the church. And once you divorce that, the state and the church to each other, now you get into secular stuff, and then you get the opposite of that is, oh, we can do whatever we want. Back in the day, you didn't do anything you want. You weren't be able to, and these guys didn't rule gigantic things, kingdoms of hundreds of thousands of millions of people, like Garcia Moreno,
right?
Even Garcia Moreno in the it was 1890s, let's say 1880s, 1870s. Ecuador only had 500,000 people. And we say only. I mean, compared to now, they've got a couple million. Now they have 500,000. He was able to run that thing. Again, it's a lot easier to run 500,000 or even less than it is 3, 4, 5 billion in Texas. 30 million people, things like that. Someone brought up about defunding Planned Parenthood. Guess who kept the funding going last time? This is Leela Rose from 2020. The internet doesn't go away. Under the Trump administration, funding for Planned Parenthood has already reached unprecedented levels. The abortion change received more money today than they did under the Obama administration. Where's the here it is right here. She brought it down. 2016, 553, $500 million. Went up 600 million 2018. Hey,
People can't understand it.
Don't play the two-party team party politics system. It's one team and you ain't in it. Got to get through that head. Hey, rah, we're back, baby. Full. Ain't none of it. Yeah, we're gonna get some good stuff out of it. It's gonna be better than the last. You know how low a bar that is?
That's kind of like being the tallest midget in the YMCA basketball league. So it's like it's not really
insane to think. Oh, there's this. I got the Kennedy brothers. I got this one book, Red State, Red Counties, on being able to break away from like your state. And he brought up what we talked about a couple times ago about Roe v. Wade, that you should have nullified that thing immediately if you had people with a spine and virtue in your state house, which we don't care about doing because we only care about DC, which is going to end up screwing us in the long run anyways, which, hey, let's keep up the process. Nothing's ever changed. The definition of insanity. Anyways, Christian conservatives who object to the abortion decision of Roe v. Wade think that all they need to do is to pass a constitutional amendment overruling the court's decision. This was like 15 years ago he wrote this. But an amendment without some effective political force to enforce it would be meaningless. Amen. having no more power than Americans' immigration laws have in the blue states. For example, gun owners have a Second Amendment, which plainly declares the right to keep and bear arms, but that has not stopped the ruling elite from constantly attacking this vital reserve right. In the recent 2020 riots, neo-Marxist city officials arrested a husband and wife who remember the couple in St. Louis, legally owned weapons to protect their home, and they arrested them. So much for the vaunted right to keep and bear arms. It's imperative American value folks understand this basic principle of constitutional government. A constitutional amendment is useless without an effective political entity empowered with real state rights to enforce the amendment. You can get your amendment all the way. There's a lot of guys, Fesser and a lot of guys going, we need to get this. We think this is a magic pony show. If you don't have the backup to do it, nothing's going to change. And Missing Monarchy has a great line. And if you want to fix abortion, eliminate schools, because that's where they're forming the minds. And you can do all the stuff you want in government in there. If you don't focus on that, because that's where the left is got a doggone handle grip on it. Mold these guys' minds, think they're former monkeys, apes, whatever, and they change them and indoctrinate them to come out as commies afterwards. You don't get that fixed, you're not going to be able to fix society.
Yeah, you got to get to the point where Ron Paul says it best, that abortion should not be a legal issue that is debated. It should be in the realm of unthinkable to begin with.
Yeah.
So, but the fact is,
those guys have entered that area, that realm, and now you get people coming out. You see the videos of high schoolers or college kids being interviewed, and they sound like morons. They come out. There was a college question. What is the worst book? What is the most dangerous book? The Bible or Karl Marx's book? I forget.
I don't know.
And they all pick the Bible as the most dangerous out of that. But it has to keep funding schools, which the state of North Carolina just did the other day, because they know that all this nonsense is coming from the last vote we just had. They just put out a thing, $450 million going to private school vouchers. So trying to get rid of as much as a public schools as you can, which with the NIL, name, image, and likeness, that's going down in high schools, unbelievable. That might end a lot of public schools, because people that play ball will go to the private schools to get money. All this nonsense that's going on is literally, it could destroy a lot of that public school system.
Well, that's kind of smart on your hand, because you guys are about to get flooded with libtards. Your state went red for Trump.
They're ramrodding. They're trying to put shackles on the next administration. Robinson, Cooper's out of town, so Robinson's doing stuff right now. We're putting this thing through.
Do it. While you guys have the ability to make it as hard as because that's what they would do.
Hey, we just elected our Supreme Court guy just 3 weeks later. It just finally went through. It's just the pro board.
Did he win or did he lose?
The pro-lifer lost. The pro board won by like 27 votes or something like that. It took them 3 weeks to get it through, because they had to get they get the votes through it.
Yeah, they had to raise these people from the dead to actually get the votes in there. But that is pretty much how it goes. And yeah, Phoebe does bring up a good point. The private schools aren't a perfect out, because a lot of teachers abandon the public schools after a couple of years because they realize public schools teaching sucks.
There's one here. They got Muslims teaching religion in the Catholic school. Yeah, I get it. Don't do that either.
But one thing at a time. It's like one thing at a time at this point.
Yeah, homeschool, just if you can, homeschool, and maybe if the husband's there, make sure he works a little bit harder to be able to, so you can stay home and homeschool, the wife can, or whatever. And that's the only way you'll be able to do it. And then you can be a dictator at home. You're going to listen to this. You're going to watch this. You're going to do this. Build numbers. I thought we could go be quiet.
Well, I didn't know if you were playing a video or not.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. No, we can move on to like war or something if you want.
Yeah. While we're still talking about U.S. politics, let's get the Nancy Mace thing in for.
I forgot about Nancy.
So the last big thing that's happening is there's this dude who thinks he's a woman from Delaware. So thank you, Delaware. You continue to disappoint. You should be annexed by somebody else at this point because you're useless. And Sarah, the person's name is Sarah McBride. The dude's name is Sarah McBride.
Timmy.
And they want to go into the bathroom. And the one person, I guess, nobody expected to step up and have a problem with this has had a problem with this. And that is South Carolina's own Nancy Mace, who has voted for sodomite marriage twice, who has the distinction of being the first woman to graduate from the Citadel. But apparently it's only, as Steve says, it's only okay when she gets to break the boundaries. It's only okay when she gets to decide what is acceptable and what is not in polite society. She does not want this man who thinks they're a woman in the female bathrooms in Congress. And this has apparently sparked a huge rabble from both sides of the aisle. And I'll say lastly that it's Nancy, slippery slope argument. You can't break the Citadel rules and force them to accept you. You can't vote and cozy up to the LGBT MAP mob and then get mad when a member of the LGBT MAP mob wants to use the bathroom next to you. You can't have one and not the other. All of these things lead to each other. You invaded an all-male space in the Citadel. You broke that tradition. You made them take you. Guess what? You may not like it, folks, but if things need to be applied evenly, Nancy needs to shut up and let that person into the bathroom by her own voting record.
The question is, with your piece of legislation,
I will say I'm behind her on this one. She's wrong on everything else, but I'm with her on this.
About banning women from using.
100% yes.
My question to you is,
it doesn't go far enough. I'll be filing more bills.
You have said that it was created in response to Congresswoman-elect McBride.
100%.
But should legislation be created targeted at one specific person?
It doesn't mention anyone in the legislation, but
you've said it was aimed at her.
No, I have said it's a result of this. I'm not going to allow biological men into women's private spaces. I will stand in the brink and stand in the way of anyone on the radical left who thinks that it's okay for a penis to be in a women's locker room or a bathroom or a changing room. Hell no. I am not going to stand for it. And the speaker said it would be in the House rules package. If it's not, I will be ready with a motion, a privileged motion to force a vote on this. This is not okay. I'm a survivor of rape.
Now, the one thing, Rick, the one thing I would ask her is, where the heck have you been for the last 8, 9, 10 years? I mean, North Carolina got boycotted because of this with the governor before I moved back. That was the whole thing, the whole reason why
they lost the NCAA tournament, or was the NBA game or something like that.
It was the NCAA tourney. It was concerts. It was all that jazz. They were putting the screws to North Carolina because of that. And then you had the whole thing with the Olympics, and you had the college guys. Nancy, it only affected her until, hey, I'm glad it's happening to her because now it's in their back door. It's in her life now. She doesn't like it, but there was silence for how long? It's that whole idea of you may not be interested in it, but it will be interested in you. Now it's finally got their back door, which I'm all for it because I want to see this thing blow up in their faces.
I'm a survivor of sexual abuse, and I'm not going to allow any man in any female private spaces.
Now, Speaker,
end of story. And by the way, I'm getting death threats from men pretending to be women. Why is it that these crazy people, the insanity, the radical left, are willing to kill women over a man's right to be in a women's restroom?
Speaker Johnson has said he wants to treat every new member with the words dignity and respect. Forcing this congressperson to go into a male restroom, is that dignity and respect?
Forcing women to share private spaces with men is not dignity and not respect. And I'm absolutely going to stand in the way of anyone who thinks it's okay for a man to be in our locker room, in our changing rooms, in our dressing rooms, in women's bathrooms. And in fact, if you agree with that, you're crazy because that's not okay. It's not okay. Congresswoman, when did
I love it how she just said, if you don't agree with that, you're crazy. Here's Speaker Johnson. I thought I had that ready to come up. Here it is.
Mr. Speaker, is freshman-elect Sarah McBride a man or a woman?
Wish these guys would have the stones to say, first off, his name is, like Nancy. Nancy's upset, but she won't say he. She just keeps playing the game with she. She's this, she's a man. Well, say he's a man. Let's be correct on the quote-unquote pronouns. And then I would correct it. And how is this person even elected? If you don't have the mental capacity to know that you're a man or a woman, then you're technically insane. And
well, I mean, that's Delaware being Delaware.
Yeah, I mean, they shouldn't even allow the person in. You can't figure this out. You're not allowed. You're not allowed. There's got to be something in there like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the box says man or woman, and they just check other.
We welcome all new members with open arms who are duly elected representatives of the people. I believe it's a command that we treat all persons with.
I know those conservatives like Knowles and those guys are like applauding this thing. I thought this was weaker than a wet paper bag. He showed as much spine as an invertebrate.
But he did change it later. But at the first, he did. He did fold like a cheap suit on Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
In silly debates about this. There's a concern about the uses of restroom facilities and locker rooms and all that. This is an issue that Congress has never had to address before, and we're going to do that in a deliberate fashion with member consensus on it, and we will accommodate the needs of every single person. That's all I'm going to say.
They'll accommodate. We're playing the game. All right, then I'm going to go to Washington sometime and go, I am George Washington. I identify as Washington. Treat me as the first president. Where is my desk?
Where's my statue?
Where's my Where's my desk? It's just anything like this. It's insane. What was it? 40 years ago, that would have been literally insane to talk about in regular people. You go to anybody out there, any place in the world right now would probably go, well, a man's a man and a woman's a woman. But in the United States of America and Europe, the West, in the sense, it's all, well, it's fluid, whatever the nonsense.
Yeah. You go to Africa, they're not doing this.
No. Or even, again, not fan of, is it Getz, the Fox guy? The Trump pick for
the Secretary of Defense.
Yeah, I'm no fan of his his incredible Zionism, but at least like McClanahan brings up in his podcast on the picks, they're what Trump said he was going to. He was going to get outsiders. He's an outsider. He's got some great stuff on there against the military being woke.
He wants to get rid of DEI,
which is 100%.
Yep. He wants to get rid of
anybody with two working brain cells 50 years ago would have said, yeah, women should not be involved in the military. Duh. You lower the standards. All that stuff goes down. I mean, I knew cops back in Columbia, South Carolina that had, female cops in there, and they hated it because they needed to do double work because they had to help them because they were out of the league if they were trying to do something. So yeah,
every time, I mean, don't get me started on female cops. Every time there's a female cop, the first thing she does is call for backup, or she shoots him. One of the two.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's just my real quick.
It doesn't work. But how many quote unquote conservatives, even Catholics, are like, oh, I went to the military. I got a medal, or you're bad. I know women, girls, really Catholic girls that are bad because they went to the military. And I said, or you should have been in there. And they got medal. One got a medal, never even saw combat.
Yeah, if you actually talk to current military people, the whole medal and ribbon system is really just
giving away like hotcakes.
So I just want to make sure I approve. But when I say like to Nancy, hey, you just need to take your own medicine. If you wanted to break spaces for other people, and yes, objectively I agree with her in this. Objectively, I don't think a person who thinks they are a woman should even have access to confidential documents and be in Congress. But it's kind of funny when a woman who has made her name breaking barriers has a problem with somebody else breaking barriers. It's just, irony is such sweet sorrow. Yeah, and you know what? If you play your cards right, maybe we can have a Waffle House.
I'm fine with the broken clock being right twice a day. But again, like I said, where were you at 10 years ago? Where were you 8 years ago? It just
that's a broken analog clock. She's a broken digital clock. I mean, she's only right once because it's only right once when the damn thing blinks.
How many times we've trashed her last year a lot on the show. She's not on her side, but just because it happened to her, now she's uppity about it. She's right, but I mean, personally, I think she's probably going to knee the guy in the jewels and maybe play it on video. Say, hey, look at him reacting like a woman.
I'm not gonna lie, she does look like a mob wife most of the time. So, but that is but it's just, yeah. I mean, Mike Johnson did he did walk those back, but that's what's going on in Congress. I know AOC, we don't have the video of it, but she went off talking about how it's a threat to everybody by not letting this dude in there, and then the dude just posted something saying he'll use the male restrooms in Congress. So there you go. You guys won. Congratulations. You won the battle.
Did
You won
he
the
say
culture
that?
war.
Did he say that really? Wow.
Yeah, let me see if I can find it. I just saw it. It was on like breaking whatever. He released a statement saying,
Well, while you're looking at that, I'll put a couple of these up. If you're not following the 10th Amendment Center, check it out. That's one of the things about since the election, people have read in them saying, you know what, we don't have to worry about nullification anymore. Our guy's in charge, which is crazy town thinking. Here's a video they did. Ignore and betray daily the oath. No, that's the oath of Constitution that they brought up. Here it is. Where did I have another one on there? It says, "Do not trust anybody with power." Anyway, well, here's the one with James Madison. Where power is in the few, it is natural for them to sacrifice the many for their own partialities and corruptions. And then you can think of Patrick Henry, which has thousands of quotes like this. Show me an age and country where the rights and liberties of the people were placed on the sole chance of their rulers being good men without a consequence loss of liberty. But it also mentioned, like I said, there's one on there. I can't find it right now. He just did it yesterday or the day before about do not trust anybody with power, because people with power. Look at John Adams. He was a rat. He was great at the beginning. He goes over to England, and Jefferson tells him, probably because he was in there with the kings all the time, saw this power, comes back and wants to be pretty much a monarch, issues the Alien Sedition Acts, and then he just goes on a rampage. He just got on his power. His wife even told him, be careful with power. And power took him and it went to a lunacy level with him. This thing will corrupt and it will backfire.
Yep. Speaking of which, there it is, the official statement. I will follow the rules outlined by Speaker Johnson, even if I disagree with them. So, Jude McBride said they will use.
Imagine say Mike Johnson going in there and Tim's in there too, and they're just standing at the urinal.
Morning.
he looks over with his combed hair and goes, "Hey, dude, how you doing today?"
Morning, bro.
Catch the Raider game.
That's right. Yeah. Small talk.
Holding the skirt up.
Yeah.
I love it and I hate it at the same time, because you're going to kick Delaware out. I think along with California too. But
yeah, well, I mean, there you go, folks. That's your nonsensical stuff that's going on here stateside. Let's talk about nuclear war.
Escalatory potential that is being warned about by the Russian officials and President Putin himself are not being taken very seriously, because escalation beyond a certain level leading to World War III or nuclear conflagration is unthinkable for anyone. So I suppose the other side is now probably taking their risk in this entire process. Correctly speaking, if an escalation now follows, let's say major, targets have been attacked by Ukraine using the Western weapon systems, then Russia will be well within its rights to actually target some of the identified targets in the NATO countries. And then it spirals into an uncontrolled escalation. Will that decision be taken in Russia? Possible they could take, because it depends on what kind of action Ukraine has conducted. Or if Russia has successfully, handled these missile systems by neutralizing these missile systems or defeating the incoming missiles, and not much damage takes place in Russia. But Russia could now counter this entire process by increasing its lethal attacks on Ukrainian targets and increase the potential of damages on Ukraine significantly. That could bring Ukraine down to its knees. That is possible.
There's a little update on things. ICC issues arrest warrants for Netanyahu. I block him and get him. I'll throw the key away. Senate kills effort to block weapons for Israel. U.S. vetoes Gaza ceasefire resolution at UN Security Council. Shocker. U.S. to give Ukraine anti-personnel mines. I saw that the other day. I don't know if you guys saw that. Ukraine fires British storm shadows in Russia. Brandon moves to forgive $4.7 billion in loans to Ukraine. Thomas Massey.
Oh yeah, you don't have to pay that back, guys. By the way, because all that money, you're gonna pay that back.
Yeah, here's the Massey put that up earlier today. So, yep, you're right. They're gonna put that. You're paying that one back. U.S. declares Venezuelan opposition figure president-elect. Because we do that a lot. We like Trump did it too. He put in coups and got people out of office, things like that.
Yep.
So if you want to stay on the hotbed of stuff, check out Keep On Anti-War. What was that?
Oh, I was watching. There's a Porsche ad I'm thinking about putting in because I don't know if you want to talk about the Jaguar ad real quick.
Go ahead.
Towards the end, but Porsche just put out a new one. Apparently, this is like the season for car ads. So I didn't know that. Like everybody's putting out their new car ads. But anyway,
but,
yes, it's real. The fact is, and I don't know, we don't have video of it. The ICBMs that were launched by Russia into Ukraine. No, they weren't armed, but this is the first time ICBMs have been used in history. And the Russians are kind of getting tired of all this, guys. Steve and I have been talking about it for a year now. And everybody who says, oh, the Russians are a paper tiger, the Russians haven't even done anything in Ukraine, they're so weak, blah, blah, blah. You realize that the Russians, and I'm not a stan, I'm sure people will say that I am, the Russians have been playing nice with you since this whole thing started. Because they don't want all of Ukraine. They don't want Poland. They don't want all of these things that these idiots in NATO are trying to convince you that they have, that they do, so they can get more funding and more of this other stuff. The people in Russia wanted access to Crimea, and that was basically through the Donbass, and most of the people in the Donbass speak Russian anyway, and they want to be a part of Russia. So the fact is, the Russians don't want to level, and they don't want to turn Ukraine into a parking lot because it's not in their interest to do so. So they haven't been really going full out. They've been doing just enough to get what they need to hopefully just get to the point, and the NATO can back off. Now you got the Russians who are like, okay, we're getting real tired of this. And you got these morons in Washington, D.C., because nobody knows who's on the button. It's not Joe Biden. Kamala's in Hawaii because she got the doors beaten off her campaign, so she's gone. Like, who is it? Is it KGP now running? Is it Karine Jean-Pierre running the White House? Because nobody understands this. Is it Miley Cyrus, General Miley Cyrus running this? Like, who's defending the country or the union? Who's making these decisions? The Russians are getting a little upset, and they're getting a little tired with this prancing around nonsense. And to quote the great movie, I just watched it the other day, Red October, this business is getting out of hand. We're going to be lucky to get out of it alive. And so it's just, it's just, it makes me so daggone angry. I can't even think of the word. It infuriates me how little respect we're giving the Russians. And people are like, well, the Chinese are telling the Russians not to do anything, blah, blah, blah. I get it. But the fact of the matter is the Russians are going to do what the Russians are going to want to do.
And on top of that, I mean, there's no direct declaration on our side. There should be no. I mean, you don't have a rule of law. You don't have anything there. You just have tyranny and abuse of power, which if anybody says, oh, we got to follow the Constitution, well, you better hold everybody accountable to that, because you just can't go into a war or hand off missiles and like that and say, I'm not clean. We're just starting a war or all that. It's totally okay. No, we're in a pretty much illegitimate government. It's been that way for quite some time, decades, maybe a century. Probably, if you read the 14th Amendment and all that stuff, how that went down, definitely that was not approved. And I got a link for that if you want to check out this one. It's a really great one. Just look it up by David Lawrence, U.S. News and World Report, 1957, talked about there is no 14th Amendment. So if you see anybody that's ignorant enough, I guess you could say, oh, yeah, 14th Amendment, talking about abortion, whatever, show them that, saying here, stop being involved in the propaganda, start learning for a little bit, dig up some research, things like that.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. And I called it. I know Steve said something about this. We said this months ago. If Trump wins, they're going to start a hot war in Ukraine. They're probably going to start a hot war in Taiwan. So that way Trump will be hamstrung in foreign theaters, and he won't be able to do anything about it. He may be able to negotiate, but there will be escalations of tensions in these places. And of course, it's coming true because these people are crazy. These people are warmongers.
Speaking of what you brought up is about the inauguration. What do they do on inauguration day? Put their hand on the Bible and they swear an oath to obey the Constitution in a sense.
Yep.
That's why I brought this one up. I forgot. Why did I bring it? Because the title of this is Oath to the Constitution, ignored and betrayed daily at the cost of liberty. Listen to what he gets into, because he brings up 30 minutes of what happened, what about it. It was talking about how if you're a Christian and you swear you have this oath, then you're actually bound because you actually believe there's a God. And if you're an atheist, you don't have it. Why don't you care about lying anyways? It doesn't matter. Hence why they had, you must be a believer back in the day, in a sense. Here's some quotes about that. Here's from St. George Tucker in 1803. Acts of Congress to be binding must be made pursuant to the Constitution. Otherwise, they are not laws, but a mere nullity. Remember, think about Roe or anything else. Or what is worse, acts of usurpation. The people are not bound by them, but the several departments and officers of governments, both state, federal, are bound by oath to oppose them. And there's many other quotes he has on it, but it gets into the idea, if you hear something come down, whether it's your guy or the other guy, that's where it gets problematic, is people do not care. When our guy gets in, it's carte blanche. We can do whatever the flip we want. And that is 100% wrong and so ignorantly stupid. And it comes back to, it ends up biting you in the butt at the end. You see regular guys, online videos, all this, that are just cheerleading. Hey, our guys, yeah, my guy's in. And if the other guy was doing what your guy was doing, you'd be in outrage. And there's no consistency, no principle, no backbone, anything like that. It's just brown nose ink, if you want to say. So you have something that's your duty to oppose it. Nobody does that. That's why you need to get people. That's why he brought up that thing about the constitutional amendment for abortions back in the day. You have to have people in the local and state governments to be able to have the spine to do this, not just the knowledge of it, to have the spine to do it. And you don't have that. Again, if school system is that thing, is a way to fix this stuff. How many talked about that during the election or selection cycle? We got to get someone in D.C. to run for this. Or blah, blah, what's Trump going to do? And didn't give 2 seconds to their local state board. And maybe they got some rabbit nut job to take the state board in their own backyard. But you're supposed to listen to them about a place 1,000 miles away from them. Oh, we're going to fix something that's not going to get fixed ever. Let's send people to D.C. to fix D.C. and take their own power away. Good luck.
Yeah.
So it was funny. North Carolina was voting for the election thing. You cannot be a citizen. You have to be a citizen of North Carolina and the Union to be able to vote. That was part of the Confederate Constitution. You have to be a citizen of the CSA, born there, or a citizen to be able to vote, state, local, federal, whatever. Ain't that some stuff?
Yeah, it's pretty. People don't get it. They really, really don't get it, man. It's kind of funny how they've been people on the right have been so conditioned to just believe, oh wait, now the Trump's in, everything's
Happy days are back again. Let's do the Trump dance.
So you got to get the golf swinging at the end. But and
this is not this is not Trump derangement syndrome. This is not Trump deification syndrome. This is somebody find some consistency. I guess maybe that's why I get so uppity. Is all these guys that you thought were on your side just threw off principle, and it's just rah. Let me just ride the train. Maybe it helps me make a couple more bucks or something like that. And
it's really about how much money they can get right now.
Yeah. If you're afraid you're not getting invited back to Mar-a-Lago, you're pathetic.
Yep.
You're taking everything else out. You don't have anything to stand on. Why should anybody listen to you? Yeah. If you can't stand up to that, what else are you not going to stand up to? And I guess that's why I'm not in a lot of people's circles, because I don't. I'm allergic to butt kissing. I just can't do it.
Yeah, no, I just I'm allergic to people who will compromise their values. Yeah. I'm allergic to people that will say they want to start something and they are so determined to do it that way, but when it doesn't pan out, they'll change. You'll see it in real time. People will say, well, I'm going to do it for this set of values, and I'm going to do it for this reason, and I'm going to prove that it can be done this way. And then when it's not done, all of a sudden they start looking they'll start acting a different way. They'll start saying different things. They'll start dressing a different way. They'll start imitating different people. They'll change their backgrounds,
Yeah.
right? My big one is they all change it. They all want to make themselves look like the Chesterton background. They all got to have a bookshelf behind them, you know, or else, you know, they can't think they're smart. Unlike me, I just have my amazing book, The Armed Catholic, which you can buy at Amazon right now. But I don't have a bookcase. I need to have a bookcase behind me to try and show how trad cat I am or whatever. So there's two things. First, you got to get into the Trump circle, and then you got to get into the cool trad cat Twitter circle. That if you've been judged cool enough to be in with the trad cats of Twitter, you know, that very select group. But I have my issues with those people that I have to go.
Yes, I'm not in that circle. I can tell you how many of them retweet any video. None. But here's, you know, but all this stuff going down. Here's China online ID system may not be so bad.
Oh yeah, no, you are gonna get the hardest simping for the China system in the next 3 years, because now is the time people will accept it.
Here's Javier Milei down in Argentina. Don't cry for me, Argentina. Signs legislation for full spectrum AI, robotic, and drone surveillance of their citizenry. Use AI to create a minority report pre-crime unit that monitors everything your citizens say and do. That's libertarian as you can get right there. And what's we got going on here? We got a digital fence that we're putting down in Mexico. It's happening all over, no matter what. Oh, shoot, I forgot about this. The SPARS pandemic. Just keep an eye out for it.
Just keep your eye out for it.
I mean, they called it for 2025 to 2028. What a coincidence!
You mean right in the middle of Trump's term? Fantastic.
Did that happen the last time? It's like the same writers coming over and we're doing the same thing.
Just this season of America is going to be like they're going to revamp it to season 2, and just try to replay it because they're out of ideas. So we'll see how it goes. You'll see how it goes, everybody.
You laugh, not to cry, but
yeah, or just be ready for it, and that's really what it is. But there is a way out, guys. There are ways to put up checkpoints against a new pandemic, or put up checkpoints against. You just all do it. Michigan said no to CBDC. Michigan did.
There's quite a few states. Florida too.
Yeah, you can get good local governance in,
well,
and
that's
that
the
can
cool
be
thing
a nice.
About this. Is he brings up, like, say Georgia wanted to ban abortion. They put out a whole bill, done. But the city of Atlanta doesn't. They want the city of Atlanta can go pound sand, create the state of Atlanta, and they can do, if they want to do that, they do that. But Atlanta cannot come into Georgia and do anything like this. And he comes out with this whole, write-ups. We got to get people thinking about this. If we want to get this out, we want to fix this, we actually got to get a little uppity in a sense and get some. We just can't sit back and just tweet away. You got to get involved. I mean, if you want to get California is upset about what Newsom's doing and what's going on with LA's. All right, break away from them. Don't just say, hey, we'll vote harder next time. Never works. Go ahead and get some people in these state houses with some spines and some good gumption in there. Do this. And if the lefties get up, kick them out. Because guess what? The state is in charge of the cities.
Mm-hmm.
Atlanta, you can say Atlanta's in charge of Georgia. It runs it. Yeah, they run it because there's so many people in the electoral. They can't. It's the states created the federal government. The federal government did not create the states. A state creates a city or county. The city or county does not create the state. So in the pyramid scheme of things, the states on top of the cities and counties. State can tell what any city, any county, you do whatever we tell you to do. Or, you wouldn't take anything away from you. The federal government cannot do that to states. State can tell that to feds. We got everything all just whacked up. We don't know. We don't understand this at all. And it's simple like that. You get people in the state house that can do that to the state, down there to. Now again, you got to be able to have some gumption because, like California, when they voted against was a Prop 8, was it the gay marriage thing, and people didn't want to do it, and it was a federal entity that came in and said, "No, you're going to do this." California has to be able to say, "Get out. We're nullified. You're done." Get out. And that's happened quite a few times where the state's done that. And the feds come in and say, no, you're doing this. You have to have people in there to be able to say, no, you're done. We're out of here. You're out. We're doing it this way. Get lost. Like before the war, Fed comes down, Georgia had it on the books. They come down uninvited. They could be called for treason, death penalty in a sense. You almost got to get back in that mindset if you want to be able to get forward and be able to fix anything. One election is not going to do it.
The problem is Americans are going to be checked out for the next 2 years.
Easily.
They're done. They're going to sit back. They're going to wait for Trump to fix it. And, maybe, that's why usually the incumbent president loses half of, loses in the midterm elections, because that party is like, oh, we're in power. It's fine. We don't need to worry about it.
Oh yeah,
and that's the problem, because they say they're in power, and so that's
What was it beforehand? This is the last election ever, the end of democracy, which democracy is another word for code word for communism, basically, in a sense. This is the last. We're never going to do it again. What happens after election? Oh, we got to refocus. We got to retool. We got to. It's there. Anybody, you hear all that blowhard stuff beforehand? It's just that's all it is. It's talk is cheap. They're going to come back and get ready, or re-triangleize, and maybe be like Clinton, get more to the middle. Who knows? Or throw Newsom in there because he's good looking or whatever, and when was the other team's guys nothing. No, you're right. They're gonna be on hopium for 2 years, and then they're gonna lose their brains in the midterms, and Team Blue will be back in 4 years. Endless cycle. Rinse, repeat. Wash, rinse, repeat. Done. Every time we do the same thing.
Yep.
Oh, we'll vote harder next time.
Yep. Or we voted hard this time. Why aren't things going better?
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. I'm gonna have to call a wrap on this, because we're getting close to
no problem
time for me.
Well, just to answer the one about hurricane relief update, please keep them in there. It's snowing there. It's going to be snowing this week. Many people don't have homes still. So yes, Mars Walk is still collecting. If you want to do a Catholic group, just go to marswalk.com. Jason's take care of that. They're doing a lot of good work there, and they're looking to improve. So yeah, still, it's going to be a 2 or 3, 4 year relief thing. So thanks for asking, G.
Yep. Yeah. So do you have a saint of the week, or do you have yours ready to go?
I'll go. Crime room is stuff that's going on.
Arrested in front of her children.
It was anger and frustration, of course, because my children were having to witness that.
All because her then 10-year-old son was spotted walking alone in Mineral Bluff, Georgia, a town with a population of about 370.
It's really not even a town, hardly. It's not a super dangerous or even dangerous at all stretch of road.
Brittany Patterson lives less than a mile from town with her father and children. On October 30th of this year, she had to take her eldest son to a medical appointment. Her youngest son, Soren, didn't want to come, she said, so she left him at home. Then she received a call from a police officer.
So when you got that phone call from the police officer saying, hey, do you know your kid is in town? What did you think?
I said no. I didn't know he was in town.
So there's quite a few stories like that. Stossel just had a big 30-minute thing about free-range kids. And the problem is most people live in, because of TV, media, in a taken, Liam Nielsen virtual reality world, that everything they're going to do is going to be, your kids going to be taken and being in Europe somewhere, and you got to go find them. Everyone lives that way, and it's not like that at all, but they live in fear, which, again, sneezes, sniffles, fear. Everybody lives in fear anymore. Can't put a kid in a car without making him look like a NASCAR driver. But watch that episode.
Halo device.
Huh?
The Halo device.
Yeah, you might as well put him in bubbles and not let him out of the house. And that brings their anxiety and stuff like that. So that's where that's all coming from. My saint of the week is, I'm going to use the 10th Amendment Center, because if you don't know a lot of what we're talking about, check their stuff out. You'll get an understanding of this. A lot of the issues you're seeing right now has been predicted before by, like Henry. If we keep this up, we're going to have a consolidated government. Yeah. Warning the Southerners not to go it, because the North, because of their mercantile, their mindset of just straight up rugged capitalism, will take over to that, which they did. We live in a Yankee empire in a sense. And he brings up all these firsthand accounts and documented research. So if you go and click on the links, you'll get the source material for him. Good stuff. But like Rick said, the guy's going on hopium right now. Even his followers are even saying, you know what? We don't have to worry about this anymore. We got it. We're in the bag, baby. We're good. It's, happy days are here again.
Yep. Absolutely. All right. So let me see. For my saint of the week, former co-host of News from the Pew, one Enoch. He's out there, guys. You know how I feel about Enoch, and you know how Steve feels about him. Out there doing real good work, trying to change the culture, trying to give Catholics options in the form of music and, hip hop music that is good to listen to. That's good for your soul. He needs a little bit of help on his fundraising. I'm going to retweet it on my my XL Arm Catholic.
Is that a live time retweet?
Huh?
That's a live retweet.
It looks like he finished it, but any bit can help, so he can put it away and maybe get it to his next goal. But he's my saint of the week because he continues to do the work, guys. A lot of people talk, Enoch's actually doing. So support him while you can, or if you want to, throw him a couple bucks his way while he's still trying to get that album finished up. And as far as my cry room, it's the Democratic mayor of Denver, Colorado, Mike Johnson. Apparently, all these guys are named Mike Johnson, who said he's going to challenge Trump who wants to deport illegal migrants, saying he's going to deploy the Denver City Police and volunteers to use force against the feds.
That'll go over well.
What? Yeah.
That'll go over well.
He's not in the cry room for that reason. He's in the cry room for, I wish he had this much fight against the illegal gangs that are infesting his city. That would have been a better use of his time and a better use of his effort.
Team party politics.
Yeah. So this is why local politics matter, guys. When we talk about, local, that your mayor is going to fight. Your mayor is going to fight the feds instead of fighting.
Yeah.
International criminal gangs.
Not the target that he's doing, but that mindset is what we're looking for.
Yeah, that's why. I didn't want to say he would. The idea I don't mind. It's the fact that it's not being applied correctly.
Yeah, the original Constitution, the states could tell them, "Yeah, we're screw, forget you, go home." Yeah. But the new Constitution, the federal government, you can't do that with the feds in there. So it's totally different whack. But that mindset needs to keep growing in a sense. Mm-hmm. But hey, we have a cry room from the chat.
Oh yeah, I posted about that on X like a day or two ago. It was in Europe. There was a new addition, a cultural diversity, who went into a church and stripped the Black Madonna of her crown and then wore it on his head. And everybody kind of just sat there and looked at him. And I posed the question on X, gentlemen, would you be, and I said this back when we were talking about the Louisiana church, and Enoch asked me the question, what about guys in, places that they can't have guns? My question is always simple. Are you guys ready to go to jail to defend the Holy Mother? Right? If there is a new immigrant friend who is, attacking a statue of our Lord and Savior, of the Holy Mother, of Saint Joseph, of anybody, are you going to stand like the guys in Europe? Now, if you notice, most of them are whiteheads anyway, so it's not like they could do much. Or are you ready to go to jail to defend the Holy Mother's honor or our Lord and Savior? It's, what are you going to stand there and let him do this to the Holy Mother? It's an honest question. And there are a lot of men and a lot of parishes who will be like this old guy and kind of just stand there and be like, hey man. Now, of course, there is an aftermath to the story where they did pull this guy down and hold him until the police arrived. So they just, would you allow him to get to that point where he's actually standing up there? So that is a cry room for those people. And when I talk about church defense, thearmedcatholic.com, it's not just mass shooting that we're talking, mass casualty events. We're talking about stuff like that as well. Like church security is all of those things, not just the worst case. Do you have first aid kits? Do you have the ability to help somebody if they have a heart attack? All of these kinds of things. Once again, if you have questions about that, or you want me to come out and talk to your parish, at thearmedcatholic.com. And if you want to support the efforts, Amazon, I will say the Armed Catholic is not a big book. It makes a great stocking stuffer.
Yeah, you could just stock it in there. You can turn it. It's paperback, so you could grapple though.
Yeah.
I like how you shared that one lady, the one girl that was upset about slavery. Oh, you white people aren't oppressed, things like that. And didn't understand that it was Africans that sold Africans.
Yeah. You realize
it wasn't like Whitey went into the bush in Africa.
Whitey waited on the shoreline. Whitey waited on the shoreline and traded some guns for.
They knew not to go in. They would get some kind of disease and be dead. They ain't going in there.
After Whitey gave the blankets, he was like, "Yeah, I'll wait here." Right. But
by the way, a lot of research, a lot of things it was the Muslim Africans that were doing that too. You're not going to hear that a lot. The Barbary pirates, Muslim in Ireland.
They're still doing it today.
Still doing it today.
They're still doing it today.
It keeps going on how they were raped and all that. And if you look up into stuff in the South, there was no rapes. There was no beatings. They lived together. Guys went to war with their master because they loved them. There was a thing about Sherman going into one home and the only male there was a slave, and he stood in front of the house and was like, "You're not coming in," because they loved their family. They didn't want to leave because they were treated so well. Now, don't say because they were enslaved and all this. When they got out, when everything was forced, they were out. They weren't ready to be free, and there was a lot of problems that went down because of that. But the North didn't care.
No, they proved their point.
By the way, when they burned down their barns and all that, that means that they burned down their food. They were going to starve everyone to death. So there's a great video on that. Look up Reconstruction, the Tennessee and the Kennedy twins. It's very, very eye-opening.
Yes, look that up, folks. All right, folks. First, for my safe travel, but thank you for hanging out with us from this News from the Pew. If you like what we did, please like, subscribe, and share the news from the Pew. I will talk to you all next week, God willing. If you have any, if you want to follow my journey, I'm going to post stuff on Instagram and on other places too. So L-Arm Catholic, This Arm Catholic. God bless, ladies and gentlemen, and Viva Cristo Rey.
Now, if you guys want, I'm putting a chat in there for quick. Contact Rick to get the